I want to just welcome everyone and thank you for joining. My name is David Lee. I'll be emceeing today's event. We'll be having a lot of different speakers today. First off, we'll have the board, then we'll have our local electeds and legislators speak for us about their support for the project that the EPNI board has put forward. And without further ado, I'll just kind of forward it off to Dean DeVolis for chair here.
Good morning, and everyone, thank you so much for being here. This is a really big deal for us. All this help, all this support is starting to make a dream come true. This was a project that was really born many years ago, and it's been a long struggle. But a lot of friends and former foes are starting to join our vision and our hope. And this project has a great significance. It is a building that's 230,000 square feet that's going to be converted into community space owned by the community, managed by the community. That'll have green agriculture, aquaponics, housing for the homeless, affordable housing, economic opportunity, entrepreneurial spaces. This is an idea in which we can create a model that is community-based, of the community, for the community, which will change the future of the East Phillips neighborhood and how people look at community development. So this is a really big deal, a really crucial project in trying to set a new economy that is for everyone as opposed to the few. So this project has a lot at stake, and we've worked through a lot of hurdles. Our success is really credited to our political support, which you'll be hearing about, our supporters who will be speaking also, our investors will be speaking with also, but also to a dedicated, very bright, very fierce board of directors that I'm proud to be part of. So what I'd like to do right now is have each board member introduce themselves, because they've been the backbone of making this project work and really giving us the community success that we have, and really is going to carry us forward into what I say is a really great economic adventure that's going to go very far and become a national model. This was not for the timid, but for the brave and ferocious, and we have a very qualified board that's willing to do this, that has not taken no for an answer for many years, and now we're starting to create a lot of yeses. So let me please start with Karen Clark, and we'll go around to the board members, and the ones that are on Zoom will follow thereafter that couldn't attend in person. Karen?
Well, thank you, Dean, for your incredible leadership, and thank you all for being here today. I'm Karen Clark. I'm a more than 40-year resident of East Phillips neighborhood, and for 38 of those years, I represented East Phillips and several other neighborhoods in the Minnesota House of Representatives, where I worked on issues like environmental justice, which is really the heart of this issue. And I wanted to say thank you all for being here. I recently became an actual board member. I've been a volunteer working as a representative of the Women's Environmental Institute, and I'm just really proud to be part of this group today. Thank you all again for being here. Brad?
Hi, I'm Brad Pass, and I'm not here for me, but I'm here for Carol Pass, who is actually one of she's been the president of the East Phillips Improvement Coalition, and she's been the kind of on the ground floor of starting this whole thing, this whole movement back in 2014, and even before that. So I'm here representing Carol Pass again. I've been in the neighborhood for 53 years. She doesn't admit to being that old. So thank you all. Thanks for being here.
Steve?
My name is Steve Sandberg, and I live in East Phillips, and I'm so proud to be part of this group, the environmental justice for our community. I think our community is very ready and excited about this project, and I just thank everyone for their support.
Thank you. Cassandra, could you speak next, please?
Bonjour, Niva Makwekwe, Indigenous Cause. My native name is Forebears Woman. I'm known as Cassandra. Sorry I cannot be there with everyone, but I'm at work today. I want to thank everybody, say Miigwech, for joining us and taking your time on a Saturday. I have been part of East Phillips for a while now, but I've got to know so many of these amazing, awesome people that sit on the board and people that just volunteer. I'm really happy to be a proud of this. To be proud, I'm proud to be happy. Oh God, I'm happy and proud
You're doing great.
to be part of this. It's been a long week, guys. During the week, I helped give COVID vaccines to everyone. So, but yeah, so I'm just really proud of what we've accomplished together and what I got to join in on with everybody. I'm sad that this is what it took for us to have to come together, but I'm happy in the direction that it's going. I'm happy that people are seeing how serious it is to us and how important it is to us, and that we want to live, we want to survive, and that it makes my heart really happy to see you guys here. So miigwech.
Thank you. Abba, could you please say a few words?
Yeah. Who's it? Oh, it's Christine.
Zaba.
Or Carlos.
So Carlos, if you're ready, we can start with you.
I can go.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice seeing everyone again. Through these virtual screens, right? But yeah, my name is Carlos Parra. I live in East Phillips and been working on this project with everyone along EPNI and other different spaces since I was in high school, and so yeah, it's definitely been a battle, and like I'm just as feeling the spaces at neighborhood, we've really been trying to fight for this because we really need it. We don't want to live in an industrial zone where we have to, think about our health a lot more than we already are. Like we brought a solution, we brought opportunities. Let's get to that and work with it. And we've been pushing that vision for so long, and we've been growing too. As you see, EPNI is a lot stronger now, and just also appreciate how all of us have different types of what's it called, like works that we can contribute to make what EPNI Farm can look like. Having Roof Depot one, we can make a lot of different changes in this neighborhood. So really proud for all the work we've done together, and really thankful for everyone who's joined us today as the supporters and also supporting us in the past. So we're only midway to the fight, and we're gonna get that. We're gonna get there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Clarence,
Clarence?
could you please say a few words?
Okay, hi, this is Clarence Bischoff. I'm secretary of EPNI, and I too am very happy and proud to be part of this board and helping with this project for the community. I think it's, as Cassie was saying, it's unfortunate that we've had to work so hard to get this support, but I certainly appreciate the support that we have today. And so, thank you.
Thank you. Chad, are you present? No. Nor. So it's Abba, last call. And I know we had a few had technical discoveries, but just to say Abba Mohammed has been a very strong representative of the East Phillips community as part of our board, has been very helpful in making this vision occur. And Chad Hubert has been a key, and Chad was instrumental in working with Full Earth in their urban agriculture project, and has had a very solid position in making this a reality. So that is the board of directors that's worked very hard to do this, including myself, Dean DeVola. But we're only as good as the community and the political support we have and the financial support we're given. So what I want to do right now is really start and introduce a strong supporter who understands the project, that is given a commitment to it, is Andrea Jenkins, who is the Vice President of the Minneapolis City Council. She was kind enough to come today and speak as part of this, and you can see a lineup of speakers that we have, which is a really strong group and really is going to carry on this new vision. And what's exciting about this is that this will become a method of how to create an economy we can all participate in, that has the intelligence and the commitment of all citizens of Minneapolis and the region. And Andrea's been kind enough to help us in this process. So Andrea, I turn the floor to you, and I thank you so much for being here and helping us. Andrea?
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, Dean, for that introduction, that very kind and generous introduction. And thank you all for just inviting me to be a part of this conversation, but more importantly, for all the work that you have been doing over the past number of years to bring this vision to this point. I know a couple of people on the call have lamented of how long it has taken, but I will say that as a African descendant of slaves who has been fighting for justice and for fairness and equality and equity for over 400 years, that to struggle is a blessing. And in fact, nothing has really been gained in this country without struggle. So it is a challenge to have to struggle, but that is I think that's the hallmark of this experiment that we are calling American democracy, is that it is a constant struggle. And as we witnessed just this past week, last week, the attack on the United States Capitol, which many people said was an attack on democracy, and I absolutely agree with that. However, it is very clear to me that it was an attack on Black and Brown and Indigenous communities. It was an attack on women. It was an attack on undocumented immigrants. It was an attack on disabled members of our community, on the LGBTQIA communities. It was an attack on oppressed and marginalized peoples in our country. And so we have to recognize that. And to that end, you know, after the murder of George Floyd, which, by the way, happened in my ward, 1.5 blocks away from where I live, but also at an intersection that many of you know that I have been working to revitalize for over 20 years, long before I was elected to any office. I had been trying to work to bring the intersection of 38th and Chicago, which I call the soul of our city, back to its original glory as a beacon of hope and entrepreneurship and home ownership for the African American community. And we had been making significant progress. You know, 10 years ago, many of you will remember that intersection was had about a 80% vacancy rate. There was only the gas station, Cup Foods, and the mattress liquidators were the only functioning businesses at that intersection. Now, there is up until May 25th, anyway, of 2020, there was a 90% occupancy rate. So we had done much work to revitalize that intersection, that community. And what I believe brought it down was pure and simple. It was racism. And so, you know, after the effects of the coronavirus that really deeply uncovered the systemic issues of racism in our society, and then the subsequent murder of George Floyd, I declared racism as a public health crisis. And thankfully, all 12 of my colleagues agreed with me, and that measure passed unanimously. And, you know, we have, as this city and as this country, continue to learn about the wounds of inequities, the distrust exposed, again, after the murder of George Floyd, and the real inequities that this coronavirus has uncovered. We know that we have racial inequity ingrained in our systems, from access to jobs, to affordable rents, even the energy that we use. South Minneapolis and North Minneapolis has some of the highest percentages of BIPOC communities, but also carry the highest energy burdens in our city. And as climate change rolls forward, these neighborhoods will also face the most hardships of heat waves, disease, healthcare, access to food, you name it. So I see this project as a way to mitigate some of those harms and begin to really address the inequities that has been foisted upon our communities of color, and particularly in the East Phillips neighborhood. And, you know, I after all of the events that I named, I just can't in good conscience continue to support unsustainable, unimaginable policies that continue to disrupt our communities. And so, I really support this effort to create a more sustainable future for our communities, for our city, and just again, really commend you guys on keeping this effort going. It is going to continue to be a battle. I'm only one city council member out of 13, and I will do my best to fight. But we need community support to help with that as well. I'm so thrilled to see, my Senator Fateh on this call, as well as other elected officials that have been committed to this process. And I stand with you all to bring a brighter future for our neighborhoods, for our businesses, for the residents of that community, but even more so for the residents of the city of Minneapolis. So thank you for inviting me, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak.
And we're so grateful to have you in our corner, fighting this battle with us. And up next, we'll have Veda Kanitz, chair of the DFL Party, Environmental Caucus, and environmental advocate, also share her support. Veda?
Thank you very much for making me part of this very important press conference. Again, I'm Veda. I am chair of the DFL Environmental Caucus. We are a statewide caucus that received our sanction from the DFL in 2015, and we now have over 1,000 members and are considered one of the most active, important caucuses in the party. We support the East Phillips Neighborhood Initiative, and we urge the mayor and the Minneapolis City Council to change course and support their plan too. The city's plan and the East Phillips plan for development of this site could not be more different. This neighborhood has suffered the effects of industrial pollution for long enough. There is arsenic in the soil and polluted air. They have the highest concentrations of lead contamination in the state. And the majority of the children here have asthma or other respiratory issues, with the highest asthma hospitalization rate in the state. This highly concentrated residential neighborhood is primarily home to Native American, Black, Somali, and Latinx communities. And the city wants to further poison their air with a diesel parking garage. This would increase daily traffic congestion and pollution with 19 dump trucks, diesel-powered earth-moving machinery, and some 500 employee vehicles from all over the city coming into an already congested urban neighborhood. Haven't they suffered enough? In this time of heightened awareness of the racial disparities in our state, where is the justice in the city's plan, Mayor Fry? By contrast, the East Phillips Neighborhood Plan would cost little to nothing to taxpayers and would provide 28 to 50 new affordable housing units. Solar projects would power some 650 homes versus just 70 in the city's plan. The neighborhood's plan includes a 40,000-foot hydroponic urban farm, which could bring healthy food to a food desert. Also, of course, much needed well-paying, sustainable jobs in areas such as urban farming, solar power, housing, commercial kitchens, restaurants, and retail businesses. The city's plan is in clear violation of the Clark-Berglund Environmental Justice Act, which was passed specifically to reduce pollution and its related adverse health effects in green zones such as the East Phillips Green Zone. It requires that any project in this neighborhood be reviewed by the MPCA to analyze the cumulative pollution effects, not only what would be new pollution by this project. The DFL Environmental Caucus has pledged to work for racial and environmental justice in every action we take. Mayor Fry, members of the City Council, you now have the opportunity to demonstrate that you do too. Please reconsider and allow this community to heal and grow with the East Phillips Neighborhood Initiative. Find another spot for your maintenance building. And to all who are listening, I urge you to call and write the city and tell them to rethink their plan. And I also urge you to donate to the East Phillips Fund. Thank you.
Thank you for the strong endorsement.
Thank you very much.
We had Marcia Howard of the George Floyd Square leadership slated for today, but unfortunately she's very busy leading the initiative.
Let me just say a few words quickly for Marcia. When we came to present to George Floyd Square, they welcomed us very gracefully, and they have been a big part of helping our cause. I wish Marcia was here, but all she can hear the thank you we want to give on behalf of East Phillips and the help of the people at George Floyd Square, and they're the ones that helped organize Bonnie Bear and a lot of our fundraising. So, Marcia, if you're hearing, to your whole group, thank you for what you've done for us.
Thank
really,
you so much.
Really appreciate it.
And we stand in solidarity with the people at George Floyd Square and support their 24 demands, and we know that they're supporting us as well. So it's great that all these grassroots, groups can come together for the greater good of Minneapolis and make a difference for environmental justice, racial justice, and economic justice. So now we'll get to our next speaker, Senator Patricia Torres Ray.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am just so delighted to be here with all of you. And for me, this is a celebration. And I do have to recognize that it has been a long journey and a difficult one. And I am not surprised because my dear friend Karen Clark always invites me to be part of these journeys that are complicated, but are just so uplifting and so correct. This is where we need to go. And we find in the way that there are so many people who are opposed, and they bring all of their arguments against what we're trying to propose, what we're trying to bring up. And then little by little, they recognize they are wrong. We are working with our community. We have been working for social justice together, and you are doing this work right now. We're in such a different place, and I feel so happy. And I feel that the result that we see today demonstrate our great resilience and the power that we have in the collective work that we do. You know, we have young people, we have seniors, we have our Native communities, we have our immigrant communities, we have our African immigrants, our African American communities. There is so much diversity and so much resilience and so much power in this community. And we are now together. We're bringing all of those voices and this power, this collective power together to fight for what, in my opinion, belongs to the community. I'm not going to repeat what Veda just said. Really, the history of contamination and the history that we have in this area has been demonstrated. We have done environmental health impact studies of this area time and time and time again, and we have the evidence that shows that we have polluted this area and that we have intentionally placed in this specific area projects that have contributed to the contamination of this area, and the health impact is so significant in our children. And we have been saying this, we have been talking about it for years. Karen Clark, Carol Pass, Cassandra, how long have you been talking about this? And finally, people are coming together to recognize that, you know, what is environmental justice now? The city talks about environmental justice in every document, and the actions do not reflect these documents and this rhetoric around environmental justice. So it is time, and I am just so grateful to be invited to be part of this circle of friends who care about our communities, who care about our future and our planet. Thank you for making me part of this very complicated journey, but very meaningful journey. I am glad to be here. I have been happy to be here for a very long time, my dear friend Karen Clark, and I intend to stay until we get this done. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Senator Omar Fateh. Senator, would you like to please speak for your support?
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for having me at this event, and for all the hard work and dedication that you have all put into this project. My name is Omar Fateh, and I'm the state senator representing District 62 with South Minneapolis. And as senator, I approach the issues facing our district with two things in mind. First, I want to make sure that any work we do is supporting the needs of our district in the moment. But secondly, we do need to think about the future of our district and the state. And the East Phillips Urban Indoor Farm Project is one I value highly as a senator for this district because it addresses both our immediate needs as a district, as well as providing a vision for the future. Our district has suffered tremendously this past year. Even before the COVID-19 crisis, our residents have not had the same opportunities for employment and economic independence as their peers elsewhere in the metro and in the state. The COVID-19 crisis has only made this worse. Folks are dealing with unprecedented unemployment, and this project will bring much needed economic opportunity to the heart of our district, giving folks the opportunity to not only work for a livable wage, but to work for the betterment of our community and to work for our neighbors. After the destruction that took place following the murder of George Floyd, neighbors are really concerned about efforts to rebuild could result in more of our community being bought up. And this project at the Roof Depot site will bring capital investment into our neighborhoods, which is desperately needed. For the reasons that I've mentioned, this project is meeting the needs of our community right now and could provide much needed capital investment and economic opportunity. I'm also inspired by this project and what it means for our future. As senator, when I look at issues related to environment, I approach them through the lens of environmental justice. What environmental justice means to me is that we're taking input from folks from all different races, socioeconomic backgrounds, and that no group is disproportionately bearing the burden of our environmental policymaking. This area in Minneapolis has historically been called the arsenic triangle because of the pollution that has been concentrated in this area where Black folks, Indigenous peoples, and other historically marginalized communities live. To me, environmental justice means that we are not only protecting the health and safety of our historically disempowered communities, but proactively and restoratively working to the repairing the harm caused by environmental racism. With this in mind, this project creates a standard for the future. As we move away from a fossil fuel-based economy, we need to start envisioning a society where food is produced sustainably and locally. This project will create a nationwide template for similar projects for sustainable food production, employment in green jobs, and affordable housing. So thank you so much for having me today. I am really honored to be here, and I'll continue to support this project as a neighbor, as a Southsider, as well as my role in being this district's state senator. So thank you so much, everybody.
Senator, thank you.
To your point about investment in the community, I'd like to then transition into the lead investor from AgroFund One. Mark, would you like to kick us off while we set up the video you'd like to have us play?
Yes, my name is Mark Erjavec. I'm originally from northern Minnesota, but I've spent 20 years living, working, growing my career and my business in the Twin Cities market in Minneapolis and St. Paul. And just as a side note, as early on in my career as an investor in real estate projects and development projects, I actually remember utilizing the roof depot site. Are we backing a pickup truck up to pick up some roof sheathing or something? Anyhow, our company AgroFund One is, as the board knows, received a letter from us back in July, and we are very committed and interested to participate in this project. And David, I think, will start a short video that tells you a little bit about some of the projects we're doing right now, and then I'll come back on and explain some more of our interest in this project.
Mark, we'll send the video in the follow-up. What I'd love to have you speak to in lieu of video is, your passion for this project, the amount of interest you have in the community, and the ability to, bring meaningful investment and environmental and economic justice impact to the community.
Absolutely. So generally speaking, our company is made up of a very diverse group of individuals, many multicultural and international based folks that have brought a lot of creative ideas to AgroFund One. Our plan on this site is to develop 40,000 square feet of indoor hydroponic growing array, 40,000 hydroponic growing operation, mainly focused on microgreens and highly perishable crops to market within the Twin Cities and the surrounding market. We've chosen microgreens because they're the most nutrition staple greens that can be grown at a commercial scale in an indoor facility. It's feasible for this project to integrate a microgreen farm in tandem with an aquaponic operation. And this innovative and pioneering enterprise will support many new and creative research and educational opportunities to the local population, and can really help us focus on the education of local children, as well as teaching best farming practices and best growing practices to people that might not otherwise have exposure to this.
Fantastic.
Go ahead, Mark.
We feel operations of and the future potential of the site can draw experimentation and the educational ideas I mentioned, as well as participants from around the region, so we can bring. Our estimate is that the facility on this site can generate nearly 50 direct jobs, as well as millions of dollars of total activity associated with the development. And that once up and running, we can create spin-off, and this is very important for us, create spin-off business opportunities for the local community and we can help support many local entrepreneurs in that community to be involved with and take ownership in this project in the longer term. In conclusion, AgroFund is very ready to get involved. We're highly interested. We believe this project can bring great economic, social, and environmental justice to the East Phillips neighborhood. And we, as a company, we very much want to thank Dean and the East Phillips board for inviting us to make some proposal on this. Council member Jenkins, as well as the other distinguished people who spoke. We appreciate your ongoing support of this project, as well as the countless community members that have put their efforts into this.
Mark, thank you. Guy, thank you so much. And what's key to the success of this project, Mark's company has committed to buy the building from the city of Minneapolis so we can move this project forward. And that's a real big piece of making this puzzle work, along with the community support, and the full support is obviously financial support. So we can't thank Mark enough, AgroFund, for stepping forward and make the commitment to make this project. So Mark and Guy, thank you.
And thank you to all the speakers. And I'm so excited just to speak to my own experience. My name is David Lee. I'm a global shaper, and I'm here to give you a quick call to action. We'll follow up with the visuals of what we'd like you to do. But first, to tackle this huge problem, we want to start off with contacting your local legislators, Hennepin County commissioners and city council members to support the East Phillips Urban Farm Project and strengthen Minnesota environmental justice laws to protect East Phillips and communities of color. We know that East Phillips is around 4 out of 5 folks are persons of color in the neighborhood, and we're very much excited to engage all of them, everyone from that community, to support state legislation to fund affordable housing, economic development, and urban farming, and reduce pollution in East Phillips. Please also donate to our local legal fund. You can go to the GoFundMe. We'll follow up with the link. The petition we have up on change.org is another way for you to get involved. But the biggest way to get more involved is to volunteer. And as a global shaper who is a part of this project, the World Economic Forum project, we are very much interested in coordinating with anyone who would be willing to donate their time, their effort, their dollars to a project that's so important to our community. And if you're unable to do time or money, at the very least, we'd love for you to post on social media, tag your local officials in any way that you can. We want to be active community allies, and so with some of our parting words before we go to our Elizabeth Royal, we just want to invite you to speak to any kind of ways that we can engage with the community, especially the communities of color. You can contact us at the website epnifarm.org or email us at ccc.shapers@gmail.com. And without further ado, I'll pass it off to Liz Royal.
Dave, I just think
sure thing.
One thing, my apologies. I just want to thank, and Dave is part of the Global Shapers. They have been key in helping us organize our community outreach, our presentation, and networking. So I just want to say to the Global Shapers, an organization, and David, thank you for really giving us a presence for this project. So,
yeah, we're just one part of a broader community. The net impact folks at the University of Minnesota had supported this event and will continue to support us in the future. I grew up here, and I live on 38th in Portland, just a couple blocks away from where George Floyd was murdered as well. And I know the importance of this type of work and the consistent struggle we have to make to fight for and fight against racism and fight for economic and environmental justice. So please, take any kind of steps that you can to support this initiative and work with us. Liz, would you please like to take it from here before we go to the press conference? Liz is Chris, if you'd like to add on to the introduction, Christina. Liz is our the attorney for the East Phillips Neighborhood Institute, and she has been very, very active in the community for a long time, and I'm very excited to be working with her.
Hi, Liz.
Hi. Well, thank you for that kind introduction, and thank you for the privilege to address this group today. We filed, as many of you know, we filed a lawsuit against the city of Minneapolis and the EQB and the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. We filed the lawsuit based mainly on the Karen Clark and Birkeland law, saying no more pollution to areas that have been as adversely affected by pollution as East Phillips. We would have liked to have filed a discrimination lawsuit based on racial discrimination and environmental justice. However, in order to support such a claim, we would have had to find and have overt racist statements by the decision makers. And this is a very hard thing to be able to find, as these folks are pretty sophisticated and will not easily make those statements openly. And so if this was a employment law case, we could look at the adverse effects that their doing will have and file a discrimination suit based on adverse effects. As it is, we can't do that because the environmental justice laws don't support such an adverse effect claim. And I would urge you lawmakers among us to take a look at why that is and why adverse effect and environmental justice don't mesh. Because I think it should, because I think what's happening in this neighborhood is clear discrimination based on race. Because this neighborhood is primarily, the residents of this neighborhood are primarily African American, Native American, Hispanic, and Somali. And so with that, this neighborhood is also one of the poorest and one of the neighborhoods that was thought to be easily written roughshod over. And I am very excited that this does not turn out to be that way, that this neighborhood is standing up. We are right now engaged in the discovery phase of this lawsuit. And I think this lawsuit has a lot of merit. The problem with our lawsuit is that it's also very expensive. And the discovery phase together with the trial phase are the most expensive phases of a lawsuit. And we're running out of money. And we're going to have to, as soon as the EAW issues and the period of comments are over and the mayor certifies the EAW, then what happens is that they're going to move to demolish the building. The only way I can stop that from happening is to file a preliminary injunction. If we do that, the court is going to order bond. And bond in similar cases usually run $50,000 and more. We don't have that. And we need to come up with this money within the next month to 6 weeks. Because we're expecting that EAW to issue very soon. It was supposed to issue in October, then it was supposed to issue in November, and now we're holding our breath every Tuesday when the EQB monitor publishes the EAWs that have been issued. So this is where we're at. The building is demolished. The purpose of our lawsuit goes away, and we need to prevent this building from being demolished at all costs. And so right now, the Global Shakers have been wonderful. wonderful supporters in raising money, but we have to raise a lot of money really fast. So we're looking at probably around 70,000 that we have to raise fairly quickly within the next 6 weeks. And so I urge every and each one of you to reach out to your friends and communities and ask for money, because that's what it's going to take to prevent them from demolishing the building. They're going full force forward, and we're doing everything we can to try to stop them. We will ask for a waiver of bond, and in my experience, those waivers are not granted because the city is entitled to a down payment on their costs of delaying the demolition. And the courts usually grant them that down payment on the costs for the demolition if we should lose the case. And then therefore, I think you understand the urgency that we're feeling right now in trying to raise this money.
Liz, this is, what you're outlining is demonstrating that we are exploring and trying every avenue to ensure that we are fighting for a just outcome. We do have a question, I believe, from the community around the EAW. If you'd, someone from the board or Liz would like to answer it. Does the EAW have recommendations that are adhered to or not? Would anyone in this room like to answer that question? And if not, I'll pass it off to Liz.
Let Liz have first crack at it.
Okay. The EAW, what we're really looking for in the EAW is that the EAW recommends an environmental impact statement. Because if we get to the environmental impact statement, then we're hoping that the cumulative impact that the environmental impact statement will show and will demonstrate is going to be too significant to go forward with this project. And having said that, I'm going to hand the question for further comments over to Jay or Evan. I believe Jay and Evan are on the call, and they have been stepping forward and volunteering to help out in the commenting period of when the EAW is used. Jay, are you on the call?
Evan? Looks like Evan is on the call. Evan, feel free to answer the question.
Okay, Evan.
Sure. Hey, thank you. I'm Evan Mulholland, attorney with Minnesota Center for Environmental Advocacy. We're working with EPNI and Elizabeth Royal to make sure that we get really solid comments in on the EAW when it comes out. We want to make sure that the city doesn't cut corners. But more importantly, we support what EPNI and all of you are doing here. And I'm just glad to be on this call and be part of this effort. We're going to be advocating for what you're advocating for as well.
Thank you.
Well, it looks like we don't have any additional questions coming in, but I'd like to use this opportunity. It looks like there are a couple of comments here. We have a question from Erica. Legacy of the city's record of following through with recommendations by the city in communities burdened by cumulative health impacts. I think Karen is our expert here. Karen, would you like to comment on that, please?
Okay, well, the law that we're talking about was passed in 2008. It's a law that Senator Linda Berglund and I put together and helped pass with the whole neighborhood coming in to testify and talk about the fact that there's an existing burden on our community, and that the law now states, that law passed in 2008, we call it the Minnesota Environmental Justice Law. It states that there is a stricter standard for measuring what is acceptable pollution, air pollution and all pollution in East Phillips within a half a mile of the center of the arsenic triangle. It's a unique law. When we passed it, it was the first in the country. People weren't even sure, the agencies weren't sure how to enforce it. They figured it out, and they have held at least, I think, 3 or 4 different companies and agencies are responsible for lowering their levels of pollution or maybe not polluting. However, it's not being enforced very well by the city. In 2 instances, I'll tell you about it existing, and then the third thing is the city is planning to add to the burden themselves. They claim, unbelievably, that they're not covered by this law. This unacceptable. Of course they're covered by a state law. A city is covered by the state law that says it's a stricter standard. We have several polluting industries that are there right now. Smith Foundry and Bituminous Roadways have had a permit that's been expired for more than 20 years, and they are the source of some of the pollution that's going on right now. The city just hasn't come forward to move them into compliance. In fact, they opposed a law. This is part of the city's legacy that they have to face. They opposed the law about 4 years ago that said it's a state law that allowed the city to get out from under rezoning for a stricter permit for those 2 industries, Smith Foundry and Bituminous Roadways. And they just need to come in compliance. The law is there and it can be used.
Thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I just want to say, I think, if we are able to win our lawsuits, a great leadership that Elizabeth Royal and others are bringing forward, and with the help of MCA, we can win this lawsuit. But as she pointed out, we do need financial assistance. This is a strong state law, and it deals with the issue of environmental justice, racial disparities, the existing health burdens. And we appreciate any help that can come forward.
Yes, and go ahead.
Can I just add that we got admissions back from the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, and in these admissions, the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency agreed and admitted that the language of Minnesota Statute 11607 Subdivision 4A does not limit the statute's application to air permits, which means we're looking at the cumulative impact. And I just wanted to make that clear. It's not just air, it's all around pollution.
Yes.
From every source.
Finally.
Yes, and it looks like we have a question for our lead investor. What kind of investment, financial and logistic, is AgroFund prepared to make this project currently? And after the approval of the project, there already been a significant amount of financial investment from the water fund by the city. Mark, would you like to take that question?
Sure. And thank you for the question. So in this process that the group has been discussing over the last few minutes, I'm happy to entertain with the board ways that we can support the effort, possibly up to and including some of the bond aspect of things. But I think the questioner is actually more asking about the actual project, if the property is obtained and when it's developed. Some preliminary planning work has been done already from the what we can do to further our 40,000 square foot hydroponic operation on the site. Again, there's a lot of work that would have to be done, obviously, on to some of the work on the building. A lot of the work we would do to further our hydroponic operation would be a multi-million-dollar investment of interior work to make the growing facilities feasible and capable. And then once we are sure that the site is secured and we can go forward and stuff, there's an aspect of actually investing into developing out the business aspect of this. A goal is not only as an investment, but to create jobs and economic entrepreneurship opportunities in the community. So these are all investments that we'd be making into the site, but into the overall community that would help create jobs and create business opportunities.
Well, Mark, thank you. What's key about Mark's support is the city bought this project using bonds or funds from the water department. Those need to get paid back, and Mark has made that commitment to pay those bonds back and then move forward with the project. And what's been good about that is once we get the bond satisfied, we've had discussion with state and city leaders and county leaders that they're willing to step in and support the efforts that Mark just outlined. So we have the private commitment, and now we're starting to receive what I call the public side commitment to really making this a reality. But the key was to get the project removed out of the city hands, because the way they purchased it using water bonds, once that's resolved with Mark's help, then we can move forward very aggressively in making this vision come forward. So Mark, Guy, thank you.
And as some parting words, I'd like to thank all of the speakers here, all of the local electeds and leaders, community leaders for their support. And if you do have any additional follow-up questions, please go to epnifarm.org and you can contact us there. And with the final word, Karen would like to just chime in here.
I would, thank you. I just want to make sure that we thank Christina Navolis here, who has been helping run all of the, some of the technology and working with David and others. Thank you. Christina's a student and she's been volunteering and we just think she's an incredible resource.
Thank you. Thank you to all our speakers. Like, it was so wonderful to have everyone here. It's so great to be volunteering with EPNI. I would recommend it to anyone listening in. It's really fulfilling. We're doing great work, and it's exciting to have so many elected officials here, to have so many young people here, to have so many residents here, to have so many people of color here. And so I'm so excited to be working with EPNI, and that all of you are here supporting us and literally making a direct difference for East Phillips. Like, you being here and supporting our cause is already doing so much. So we really appreciate everyone coming to this virtual event, and hopefully we can have an in-person kind of rally soon. So thank you so much.
Yes, and with that, I'll end the call, and thank you again for all who joined and spoke in your support for East Phillips Neighborhood Institute.
On behalf of the board of EPNI, community, city officials, you have put a lot of wind in our sails. So can't thank you enough for everyone's sacrifice to making this vision come through. We appreciate giving up your Saturdays to come here and support us. So yeah, thank you, and look forward to a lot more exciting things to come. Appreciate it, and goodbye, and thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.